CLC Stage 36 Screencast. This is fairly straightforward. We're just completing our subjunctive time. We'll be studying the subjunctive in the present, active and passive, and the imperfect, active and passive. We've already seen these already, and we're going to be focusing solely upon how they're used in complement clauses of the subjunctive type. There are three complement clauses of the subjunctive type. Purpose, I did this so that this would happen. Result, I did this, now this happened. Or indirect command, I wish that you would do this, or I order you to do this. So the formation and the morphology is rather straightforward. We have here let's hold off on the first conjugation for a second, and let's look at everything else. And you have the simple perverse A, an A where it doesn't belong. You have the irregular sim, sis, sit, simicitus, sint. Be aware of that. Just looks like sum, doesn't it? Except an I. But let's go look at the first conjugation. It's not the perverse A, it's the perverse E. Super perverse E. Not a future. That would be laudabo, but laudam. Laudem, laudes, laudet, laudemitus, laudetus, laudent versus videam, videas, videat, videamus, videatus, videant. In the the present subjunctive passive, you see our same endings that we've seen throughout for the passive. Are, eris, etur, emer, emini, entur, super perverse E, while everyone else is happy enough with the A of the subjunctive. Are, aris, atur, amer, amini, antur. As a way of remembering, the present subjunctive is formed off the present stem, and for most all verbs, the common active endings, am, as, at, amus, atus, ant. Okay, piece of cake. So you have videam, mitam, kapiam, audiam. Because there's already an A found in the first conjugation, you end up with these wackies. The super perverse E, em, es, et, emus, etis, ent. For the common passives, are, aris, atur, amur, amini, antur. And then for laudo, lader, laderis, super perverse E, ladetur, lademur, lademini, ladentur. Imperfect subjunctive, we've already seen that from the get-go. It's formed off the present infinitive with proper endings. While you see there for the passive, you see the same present infinitive with passive endings. Are, ris, tur, mer, mini, untur. So let's take a look. There are no super perverse E's. There's only just your simple endings that are found there for person numbers. M, s, t, mus, tus, unt versus are, ris, tur, mer, mini, untur. Let's take a look at the irregulars. There's only a few irregulars in Latin, but they do occur commonly. Of course, we talked about just now the present subjunctive of sum, sim, sis, sit, simicitus, sint. Pot plus sum equals possim, possis, possit, possimus, possitus, possint. Wellim, short L, one L, I am. Wellim, wellis, wellit, wellimus, wellitus, wellint, as well as the forms that come off of that, nolim and malim. Eam from the verb eo, to go. Eam, I might go. Eas, eat, eamus, eatus, eant. Now for the imperfect, it's formed off the present stem. So possum, possum, wellum, notice the double L's, nolum, malum, notice those double L's, and then finally irem, irreseret. Well, what are these imperfect subjunctives for? What is the subjunctive for? Well, when it occurs in an indirect question clause, when it occurs in a cum clause, it's treated like the indicative. But when it occurs in a complement clause, there are specific rules which you will need for the SAT 2. Complement clauses only that's result, purpose, and indirect command only occur in the present and imperfect subjunctive. When do you use them? Well, these are called secondary and primary tenses. A primary tense is present or future. So, guess what? You use the present subjunctive. While if you have a past tense verb form, it's called a secondary tense. So any form of the past tense governing that, I wanted, he had wanted, he was wanting, you'll use the imperfect subjunctive. That's just a simple grammar rule that you can live the rest of your life not knowing unless you want to get a better score on the SAT too. So here's our first story. The boys hid themselves in the woods. Complement clause, nay plus subjunctive, so that not, result clause, so that they would not be found by the master. Past tense in the superordinate clause governing the complement clause, and imperfect subjunctive, secondary sequence. Past takes the imperfect. Amicus meus Romae nunc habitat. My friend is now living in Rome. Habitat is what tense? Present tense, primary. So you'll use present subjunctive. Ut plus subjunctive, so that his sons may be taught by a better master. Ut plus subjunctive, probably what? Purpose. Could be result too, you really can't tell. That's all you have to worry about in chapter 36, just playing with the subjunctive in the complement clauses. They will occur on the SAT too, and we do want to have you prepared for that. We'll be seeing you in class.